and mud anymore. And now we know it won't be long before we have walls standing up here. To get to that stage, we have to do some layouts. Now, layout's the process of taking these wall lines that we see here on the blueprint and transferring them out to the floor. We do that by means of a chalk line. Now, layout really is simple, but I know from looking at a blueprint and seeing all of these lines out here, people say, wow, that looks difficult. But it really isn't. Here's how we do it. Our plans for this house show that the outside walls are 2x6. And to mark the location of these walls on the floor deck, we use a 2x6 block, marking in 5.5 inches from the edge on each end of the building. Now, if your walls are 2x4, well, then use a block that size. And next, we run a dry line down the length of the building between those marks, and we tie it off. We mark near the center of the dry line so we can snap the line in 2 sections. Now, especially on long buildings, this helps to ensure that our line will be straight. On the shorter runs, you can just use your chalk line. I got 32.3. At this point, it never hurts to recheck to make sure the exterior walls are parallel. Okay, we're within an 8, Joe. Looks good. We need to start with a long through wall, Larry, which is this one, and it's 17.3 outside the center. Okay, let's do it. Okay, we're at the edge of the building. Go ahead and mark. 17.3 center of the wall, add 1 3/4 to the edge, mark it, put an X on the side that the plate falls on. That's it. On our plans, the measurement for this wall is from the outside of the building to the center of a 2x4 wall. We snap the edge of the wall by measuring out 1 3/4 more from the center line. Okay, Joe. That first wall is 12.7 in, from the outside of the building to the center of that through wall. So Joe measures out 12.7 to the center of the wall, adds 1 3/4 to the edge of the 2x4 wall plate, then he drives along at that point. Now he can continue on and mark for the next wall. Now, of course, each wall line needs a pair of marks on the floor before it can be snapped, and that's what Joe's doing here on the 12.7 wall. And you can see this wall has some plumbing in it. Joe's laying out a bathroom wall here. Most of our interior walls are 2x4. This one's got a lot of plumbing in it, so we'll make that one 2x6. And just so we don't forget, Joe marks it right on the floor. When we lay out a building, we typically lay out the long walls first, and then the short ones, like this short bathroom wall. Now, it's important to keep your plans handy so you can refer to them often. Accuracy at this stage makes the work that follows a lot easier.
6, 1, 2, 16 plus 3.25. Okay.
There's a small hallway right here, but no door and actually no wall, so we're going to mark this one out. And down here, the line got run by a little bit too far, so we'll mark it out too so it doesn't get plated.
All right, Larry, I guess all we got left to do is run the end on that wall right there.
Okay. What Joe means by running an end is marking where a wall stops. We note that very clearly on the floor. Well, it didn't take Joe and I long to lay out this floor. We're all done, except we still got a rake wall. Take a look at these blueprints. Here we are right here. This is a rake wall. Goes up at an angle. Follows the slope of the roof. It's the wall that sits right here on the end. All the way down through here. We'll build it and we'll raise it up like this. And it'll go up like this, following the pitch of the roof. Take a look at the blueprints again. Each stud in this wall is going to be a different length. In order for Joe and I to build this wall, we're going to lay it out on the floor full scale. Here's how it's done. I've been doing some sketching here to show you how to lay out a rake wall over here on our floor. Now this rake wall has a pitch of 4 and 12. Well, back on our floor, these dotted lines represent the chalk line that we snapped for our wall plates. So down here at the bottom chalk line, we come up 92 1/4, that's a stud length. Make a mark. At the bottom, on the outside of the building, we come over 12 feet and make another mark. From that point again, up 92 1/4 inches. We make another mark. From this point, we come up in feet, whatever our pitch is in inches. 4 inches, we come up 4 feet. And we connect those 2 points. Now, it doesn't matter how wide this rake wall is. We can build it to here, or we can build it to way over here. With this outline, we can build it right on the floor. So we come up here 92 1/4. And another 4 feet. Then we come over here 12 feet. From the outside. Got it? Okay. Then at that point, we come up again 92 1/4. 4 more feet, and that X is right there. So without using a lot of fancy math, we're able to establish our 412 pitch. We snap a line right through our X's. First one side, then the other. And this leaves us a full-scale outline of the rake wall right on the floor. Well, Joe and I have all these wall lines snapped out on the floor. So we're ready to start plating. Plates are the tops and the bottoms of walls. The important thing to remember is that these plates need to be put down in a certain order. If we put them down in the right order, then framing walls is going to be a lot easier. So let's take a look how we do this. Actually, it's quite easy. Here we have a model of our floor. And what we've done is we've taken these outside walls, these long outside walls, and we've run them all the way through, from outside to outside. We call these walls through walls. Here, at the width of the building now, these walls butt into the through walls. So we call these walls butt walls. We have them here, 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 and here. If you plate like we have it here, you're going to find that wall framing is a whole lot easier. Here on this model, I want to show you an example of how not to plate. You'll notice that none of these plates run all the way through. They run through on one end, but here, on this end, it butts into its neighbor. And that's true of this one, and this one. Now if you plate like this, we call this style log cabin style, you'll find that when you raise walls, you'll always have one in the way. But look, let me show you something simple. Make a little change. See what happens? You now have these two walls that run all the way through. And these walls bust to them. So, we'll build our walls like this. We raise these two through walls, and then we can raise these two butt walls. No problem. It's time to pack lumber. We're scattering all our 2/6 plates for the exterior walls. At this stage, we haven't cut any of them to length. And now, with all the plates scattered, we can start positioning and cutting them. Now, this is a butt wall, so Joe flushes his end to the chocolate, and he tacks it right on the line with an 8-penny nail. We don't want these plates to move around. At my end, I saw to the chalk line. I don't need a square or a measuring tape here to cut accurately. Here's the top plate. It's got the same length as the bottom plate, and it tacks right on top of it. This is another butt wall. Got it, Joe? Again, tacked right on the line. I use a 2x6 block as a guide to cut it back 5.5 inches from the through wall. We just keep working our way around the building, positioning. Okay. Tacking. And cutting. But take time to cut these plates accurately. It'll save you a lot of headaches later on. You can see that this wall has some plumbing pipes in it. Here we can cut the plate so it butts the pipe. Out here in the center, we'll notch our plate to fit around these pipes. In colder parts of the country now, the code may require you to fill these holes with insulation. And here, this top plate can't be tacked on top of the bottom plate because the pipes are in the way. So we just tack it on the side. Now it's ready for layout. Here at the end of the building, another way of tacking a top plate in place. We can set it on edge and toenail it to the bottom plate. Here on the other side of the house, we tack two where the left cut it by eye. We're done tacking the exterior plates. Now it's time to pack and position the 2x4 interior plates. Interior plating should go pretty smoothly. Just make sure to snug the plates tight to the exterior walls. And again, we have to cut around any pipes. And then we tack the plates down on the X side of the line. Tacking the wall plates down is important because we keep butting the wall plates into each other.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Okay, cut that. Here are the plates for that end wall. We cut them both right on the line. That's what we do. We just keep working our way around. Lighting the long walls first, generally, and then filling in the short wall. It's important to tack the top plate directly over the bottom plate. You probably noticed that I've been doing all the cutting and Joe does most of the nailing. We work together. It's just more efficient that way. Well, Joe and I are moving right along. This place is finally beginning to look like a house. All the plating is done, and you can see over here the outline of a bedroom. Here's a bathroom, and back over here in this corner another bedroom, and I'm standing right in the middle of a hall. We've done what we wanted to do. We took the wall outlines, blueprints, and we transferred them down here to the floor. One other thing I want you to notice as you look at these rooms, you'll see over here, there's not a doorway, and there's not a window in the place. We paid absolutely no attention to any door or window. Well, let's take a look at these blueprints. Here's a small closet with a doorway. What it looks like is that the wall comes over here and stops, then the doorway, then the wall starts up again. Well, here's the closet right down here. Both those plates run all the way through. There's no visible sign of any door. Back to the blueprints. Here's another one, right here. It goes into this bedroom. But take a look again. Those plates run all the way through. So that's what Joe and I have done. We've run our top and bottom plate across all of those doorways. Later on, we'll come back and we'll cut out sections of that bottom plate and leave room for these doors. Before we do any more work, let's review a few of the things that Joe and I have been doing. Here, this wall here, it's got pipes coming up through it. We couldn't set this plate on top of it like this. We just set it right alongside. Now, we can lay out across both of them. Here's another style. This wall too has pipes. So we set the top plate here on edge, and again, we can do our layout across both plates. Over here, 2x6 wall. Got a lot of pipes in this wall. So what did we do? We ran this wall in 2x6. That'll leave plenty of room for all the pipes the plumber's going to put in there. Here we have a toilet. We needed a little bit more room for that toilet. So instead of a 3.5 inch wall, we ran one in 1.5 inches. That's a few of the things that we're going to do. There's lots more to come. Let's get on with our work. Joe and I finished plating up there on the wood floor. Now we're down here on this concrete slab. And there's a couple of differences. One is, when you're plating on a slab, use this treated wood. Second is, we've got bolts in this foundation. These bolts secure this plate down to the foundation. We've got some holes to drill here. So how do we do it? Well, fairly simple. We just measured over here 3.5 inches, and we snapped the line all the way through. Then, here's the important part. Take this bottom plate and set it right on the line. Now, we don't have to use a square and a tape measure to mark where this bolt hole goes. We've got a simple tool here. This is a homemade one out of a plate strap. And you'll see where it goes up against the bolt to this pin is 3.5 inches. So that's what we do. We set it right on that bolt, and then we mark it. Right there is where we're going to drill that hole. Now, if you don't like that tool, you can try this one. You can buy this one commercially. It's made the same way. This notch here goes against the bolt, and the pin marks the hole. This one's for 2x4 plate. This pin's for 2x6 plate. Now, if you don't like to bend over, you can use this tool. It's a stand-up bolt marker. Put it on the bolt. This one works for 2x4 this way. If you got 2x6, just turn it around. Put it on the bolt, straight out, square it up with the material, mark your bolt. Well, Joe and I have all our plating done up there on the main floor. You know, we're almost ready to start framing. So before we do that, we built a couple of model walls down here, and we want to show you in detail what it is we're going to build. Over here, we have a 2x4 wall. And over here, a 2x6 wall. They're both exterior walls, and they're both framed exactly the same. These really are typical walls. Once you learn how to build these two walls, you can frame most anything you want to frame. So let's take a look at them in detail. Up here we have a double top plate. These plates help hold the entire structure together. Underneath these plates, we nail both studs and these top cripples. These cripples take the weight from above and they transfer it down to this header. This header acts as a bridge over the window opening. It, in turn, is supported by a trimmer on each side. These trimmers come down and set on a rough sill. The rough sill leaves an opening for the window. The rough sill is kept to the proper height by the bottom cripples. The bottom cripples go on down to the bottom plate. The bottom plate itself sits right here on the foundation, and that foundation supports the entire weight of the building. But one last thing now about this window frame. This whole structure is held together by these two king studs that are nailed one on each side. They run from the top plate clear down to the bottom plate. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice looking at these headers is that they run throughout the building at exactly the same height. Well, carpenters maintain that height by use of a story pole. Let's take a look over here. The standard height for us where we frame is 6 foot 10 inches, right there. And once we know the size of the header, here we're using a 4x6. What's left over on this story pole is the length of our top cripple. Here we have a 3/0 window opening. That's carpenter talk for 36 inches. On this story pole, we've laid out for the rough sill. Well, what's left over on that story pole is then the length of the bottom cripple. That's simple enough. Now let's take a look over here. What if we use a 4x12 for a header? Take a look. We don't even have to use any top cripples. Well, what about if we have a smaller header and a taller window opening? That's where the story pole comes in again. We have a 4x4 header right here. What's left over on this story pole shows us the length of this top cripple. Now down here, we have a 4/0 window. That's 48 inches. Again, what's left over on this story pole is the length of this bottom cripple. Now, one more